How's it going, everybody? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Thursday, January 1st, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are having a great week. It's definitely been a little tense with this moon in Libra. I mean, a lot of relationship stuff has popped up. You know, we went through so many amazing aspects last week. A lot of positive things have changed in our lives, and definitely embracing this new frequency in Aquarius season with Pluto in Aquarius. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things to look forward to. And I think what's underneath the surface are a lot of these Chiron issues, these relationships issues with, the South Node. We're so focused right now with these outer planets and the last three signs of like what we're really doing in the world, and making an impact in the world and what's going on in the world. There's so much. I mean, all of 2024 is very much this Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces kind of outer dimensional focus that is bigger than us, right? It's what we're all a part of, and we're all going through it together. But at the same time, it's like these larger things that are going on out in the world affect us personally and affects our relationships, which is what Libra brings up. And this moon in Libra yesterday, squaring Venus, it brought that up a lot, and it started triggering things. And definitely with the square to the moon, or with the moon squaring over to Mars, things are getting a little tense in our relationships. And today, the moon making this square to Mercury is when we start communicating these things and start being able to resolve these issues and get to the focus of like what needs to really happen to make a big change here. And in communication today, I mean, it can really get a little challenging. And this in conjunction to Neptune, as the square is happening, it's like we don't want to fall into the chaos. We don't want to, go overboard here. I mean, when the moon in conjuncts Neptune, like this is where things can get really confusing. And things can get misconstrued very easy. And with the square to Mercury as this in conjunction is happening, it's like, it can get really irrational very quickly. So it's the same thing that we experienced yesterday. It's just more amplified today and tomorrow as well when the moon goes to Scorpio. I mean, these themes, this is kind of a conversation that's playing out here over the next 4 to 5 days. And this is where we need to focus, because all the amazing things we're focusing on in the outer realms, it's like what we do in the world and our success in the world when it comes to Capricorn, really that foundation is upon the relationships we have, right? And no matter what, I mean, relationships is the most important thing in life to really navigate and build a better world. But at the same time, it could be one of the most challenging things. And that's what the North Node and the South Node in Aries and Libra has really been bringing up, is that, it's like, how much do we put into our own self and our own journey and our own identities and egos, and how much do we need to give away to others, and definitely with the North Node, it's calling us to really like move away from this codependent kind of thing that Libra gets caught up in with the South Node. It's like we definitely are repairing a lot of ego issues that have been kind of damaged over the past 5 years, really. And definitely through the Uranus-Aries-Pluto square. I mean, this Chiron's bringing that up a lot, I feel, in the North Node. And a lot happened to us internally, unconsciously during that time. So, today, like, it can definitely feel like relationship stuff can get kind of confusing, and communication can get a little wonky, and we definitely want to be careful. It's like, this is a tipping point, right? This is... with the North Node and Chiron getting closer together, like this is becoming like a tipping point where things just like take a sudden turn, for the better. This is for the better. And the more smoother and easier we can communicate and not get lost in, the confusion that this moon quincunxing Neptune can really amplify. It's like we want to be diplomatic and have a logical, rational approach because it can get very overboard very quickly. It's like, if you're on a journey on the sea on a boat, right? Like you're going to hit some massive waves, some turbulence and some storms. That's very Neptune. But you got to hold your composure to be able to drive the ship, through the chaos. And that's very Libra, it's like you want to be balanced and calm and collected and through the storm, maintain your composure. And Libra's very good at that. And the moon in Libra, I know a lot of people with Libra moons, like they're very cool and calm and collected. It's hard to really throw them off into an emotional state. If you know any Aries moon people, it's really the other way, where it's like they're just triggered and over the top immediately, So this is kind of like we want to hold our composure through the storm. We're passing through a storm, and definitely for the next few days with the moon passing through Libra and Scorpio and activating all these very personal relationship areas in our lives, like this is where we want to ride through the storm and hold our composure. We're building so many amazing things with Mars and Venus and Mercury and Capricorn and the Sun and Pluto and Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. I mean, we have so many planets in the last 3 signs, which is the higher consciousness, which is the higher frequencies, which is what is beyond us as just human beings in a body. This is the bridge of the 3D world and the 4D and the 5D, all playing out at once. So, and in order to access all those realms, we have to really have positive, healthy relationships and maintain those. And relationships take work. They take maintenance. Nothing's ever the same. Nothing's ever perfect. The dynamics totally shift and change. It's like, all last week, every day I'm doing a horoscope. It's like there's amazing aspects with Venus and Jupiter and Mars and Saturn, and it's all wonderful. A lot of amazing things have come into our lives, but this is definitely a week where this moon is bringing up really deep, intense stuff in our relationships and even our relationship with ourselves. This North Node in Aries is the relationship with ourselves. Because if we can have a healthier relationship with ourselves, we could definitely have healthier relationships with others and have a healthier relationship with whatever your higher power is, ultimately, which is Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The higher realms, the divine, the matrix, whatever it is. We have to have a much more solid grasp on our egos. And Chiron North Node is challenging that. It's like, yeah, we can feel a little wounded, we can feel debilitated, we can feel like things haven't gone the way we wanted it to, but also remembering that when you're connected to your divine path and you're connected to source, that every experience in your life was meant to be, and nothing is random. There are no coincidences. I mean, maybe you do feel there are coincidences in life. Personally, and this is where I'm maybe projecting my own experience here, but I can't recall where something in my own experience was just a coincidence, negative or positive, whether it was something that was hurtful that occurred in my life or some amazing, beautiful manifestation that transformed. Like, there was no random coincidence that any experience just happened and occurred. It was all, you can trace every moment back of what led up to each experience. So this is definitely a moment where it's like, we want to be able to like get the reins and hold the reins and maintain the calm through the storm, because when we come into next week, we're getting into new moon territory, this new moon in Aquarius that we're edging towards. So this is very much like this like tipping point, or this it's not calm at all. This week is definitely not calm, but it's very much like like a like a distortion, or a very dissonant part in a song, or where, like, the orchestra kind of hits a bad note, and it's like you just have to adjust. When there's quincunxes like this with the moon to Neptune or anything, it's like you just have to adjust to the energy and, accept that moment just happened and not try to control it. We want to, when the cardinal planets are squaring Capricorn planets, it's like, the moon in Capricorn squaring, we're going to say, yeah, we got to be able to have more control and control things, to find more balance and have more control over our minds. It's like, well, Neptune here is also reminding us that it's like you can have as much control as you desire and, use your will to maintain and acquire. But at the end of the day, it's like when you accept each moment as just a part of the music, and whatever note is played and how you respond to that note can decide if that was a bad note or a good note, right? Like, I'm using music here as an example, but like, to me, like, I think that's a very healthy way to approach this energy. Like, I could say, I don't know if anybody knows this story, but there's Miles Davis, who's a classic, one of the greatest jazz musicians of all time. This guy, Herbie Hancock, who played piano for Miles Davis. He was an amazing musician as well and very well known. He tells this story about how the first song, they walked out and they were performing for a large audience, and the first song that they were playing, Miles Davis started going off on a solo. He's known as a trumpet player. So he starts playing a solo, and Herbie Hancock said he hit the worst notes on the piano. And he was so embarrassed because Miles Davis is one of those guys that if, you hit a bad note, you're fired, right? So he said he kind of panicked a little bit and he just stopped playing. And he said he covered his ears because he was just so embarrassed. And he said Miles Davis turned around and looked at him and just kind of stared. And he said Miles Davis ended up playing the most absolute perfect notes to what he thought was bad notes. And he said somehow Miles Davis took what he thought were bad notes and turned them into something that made total sense. It was that choice of, he responded to something that someone else perceived to be negative and accepted it for what it was and responded to it in a positive way, right? Like, there is that moment. It's like when the moon in conjunction Neptune like this, it's like we have a choice here to choose. Like, is that a bad note? It's like, no, it's not a bad note or a bad experience. It's how you respond to the experience, especially when things get confusing with Neptune like this. And when the moon squares Mercury, it's like, well, if you try to control it too much and you only see it black and white, the music can't play. So, it can't carry on, So it is how you respond to what can seem to be a negative experience to turn it into a positive experience, right? And that was one thing about that story with Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock. He said at the end of it, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's an amazing, I work with a lot of artists. I'm a producer in the daytime. That's what I do. So every new artist that I end up working with, I always share this video with them. Because the first time I heard that, it blew my mind. And that video is just really coming up in my head with these aspects here. It's just kind of reminds me of that, It's like, yeah, we can control things as much as we want. And yeah, we can perceive negative experience as just a bad experience and that was just, random and, I don't know why that happened. It's like, no, you can always trace back why things came to be. And you can always choose to let that be the next best thing, that pushed you on to get to a better place. It's just, it's not being stuck and allowing that, like, everything and every experience has a purpose and every experience is divine. And yeah, I mean, that's what these dynamics this week are. The dynamics are different than they were last week. And when we go into next week, it's like we're entering into a whole other dynamic, because we're going to have the first square from the moon to Pluto here by tomorrow. And then by the time we get to the new moon, the moon's going to conjunct Pluto. So it's like things are moving so fast now. And I think that's really what it is like these dynamics are really shifting so quickly. And it is feeling like music. For some reason, I just am really witnessing it in a very musical fashion right now, which, I do, naturally, because it's like if you really are watching the astrology each day and following the astrology, it is like a song, it's like there are slow parts, there are fast parts, there are very happy, positive moments, and there are very dark, eerie elements to a song, and they all create this one magical experience. And that's what life truly is. And definitely since all planets have been direct now, it's like that's sped up so much faster. I'm feeling that. I'm really feeling that right now just looking at this chart. That how much more speed we've gained with Uranus going direct and how fast the dynamics. It's like a heavy metal song where it's just like, it gets super intense very quickly. And then it can mellow out very quickly and fall into a happy place, and it's like, it's just, that's what it is. And with Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces, it's how much we can teach ourselves to learn to let go, to let every moment and every experience serve its purpose and know that every experience was meant to be, There's no experience that wasn't supposed to happen. That wasn't supposed to happen. Or, that was a bad experience. It's like, there's no such thing as a bad note. There's no such thing as a bad experience, right? You can choose that note to be a bad note. It's how you respond to it, period. And that's what these aspects today are really making me feel. I think that's pretty wild. This has been like, since Pluto's been in Aquarius, it's like, it's been a very radical shift, and accepting that as well. Pluto and Capricorn, it's very easy to fall into unconscious patterns of wanting to control everything, right? So we're moving out of that, and we're finding new ways to free ourselves and liberate ourselves and not be stuck and break patterns and break routines, especially with Uranus and Taurus. Taurus loves its routine. It just loves the same thing over and over and over. Loves to eat the same foods, loves to wake up at the same time. It's like with Uranus and Taurus, it's like shattering all of that, and we want to embrace that, And I pulled the Ten of Swords today, so it's like we don't want to just get trapped in this moon in conjunct Neptune, where it's just like things are so confusing and you just want to check out and escape and run away and not face the problem head on, and Mercury, in the moon squaring. And it's like we want to be able to have healthy communication and be honest about what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and letting go of control and letting every experience and every moment serve its purpose in our own journeys. And the nine of swords, my bad, is very much this kind of awakening to like, wow, you know what? We all suffer. Life can be suffering at times, We're entering into some very amazing territory, an unknown territory, with Jupiter. And we have so much to look forward to coming into the spring, But these next few weeks with Chiron and the North Node, it really is focusing deeply on relationships, healing relationships, and where our identities of ourselves and where we stand as individuals in our interpersonal relationships, So it's definitely, today is very much a Nine of Swords moment, where it's like things are really starting to turn over, and where things have been left unsaid and not dealt. There's a spider crawling on the wall. So, it's like things just pop out of the shadows. Things just pop out of nowhere, And you just kind of realize things and you see things that you didn't see before. And that's also very moon in conjunct Neptune. It's like, you could be looking in the same direction for a long period of time and then, realize that something has been there that you just didn't notice, even though it was there the whole time. So definitely some subconscious insights and flashes can come in today, and this is where the healing really starts to show itself, and the opportunity for healing in our relationships is starting to take shape, and it's definitely not easy. These next few days, it's not easy, things are moving very quickly, and with Mars, Mercury, Venus in Capricorn, even though all these things are going on, it's like we're still doing what must be done and doing what needs to be done and still making things happen, so, and that's what Capricorn is all about too, is compartmentalization. That's very necessary. Mars is very masculine. It's a masculine planet, and when it comes down to having difficulty in life, it's like there are still things that need to get done. It's still, responsibility. So you have to be able to compartmentalize things. And Mars is allowing that to happen. So is Mercury. Mercury in Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn. It's like, yeah, sure. We still have, things we have to deal with the people in our lives. But we also have to be able to compartmentalize the emotions and do what must be done. And today is definitely one of those days. When the moon comes into Scorpio, things are going to get real deep. Real deep. And make that first square to Pluto, it's like we're going to be feeling Pluto, like big time. And Mars is on its way to meet with Pluto, so it's like, it's Pluto time. It's Mars time. It's Scorpio time. So, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.